Thomas, let's continue with the latest QPost. Now we're going to move to 965.
Oh, 965. Stay strong. Well, they always say that. I don't know what, stay strong. Stay strong. Basically, that means don't do anything. Stay together. Hello? Is Q not watching the alternative news? Stay together? Nobody's together. The disinformation is so powerful that if you don't get the evidence yourself, don't believe it. And if you don't have backup evidence for that evidence, don't believe it. Stay strong, stay together. I agree with that completely. Is that happening? No. As a matter of fact, I believe these things are dividing people. I got my conclave divided on me over whether or not this is true. Guess what? Not a one of them is divided anymore. They all know exactly what's going on with Q. And we sat and we read these, and now that they've been red-pilled, we actually laughed. They just laughing. Offline for a reason. That's a Q dump? What do you go, take a dump? What do you go to the bathroom? Enjoy the show. As if Q is creating the show. The show here, folks, is that you're going there and that you're looking and that you have the interest to support Donald Trump, a duly elected president, and stop the Second American Revolution. That's what I wish they would get to. And then it signs Q in case we forgot, or in case we think there's another Q, or in case we think it's someone else. I'm sure that's Q because they signed it Q. And then there's this thing. I don't know what this means. SEAL Team 6 Punisher. It's a picture. God will judge our enemies. We'll arrange the meeting. Oh, really? I don't think so. Here's the meeting you should be focused on that you are not telling us about, and that's the meeting with Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, members of the DNC, some whistleblowers, and Elizabeth Bagley on October 17th, 2017. Just hit the news. I don't know why you were offline. You didn't read the news. It's absolute 100% proof that the conspiracy to continue the coup d'etat against Trump continues to this very day. The whistleblowers came out. Only the biggest news there is, Q. Yeah, what, you had something to do with that or what? Oh, so you're arranging those meetings? I don't think so. Elizabeth Bagley has been as corrupt as anybody that you can look at in Washington, D.C. This is old news. Of course, we knew all of these things except for that Elizabeth was involved or that they used her house for the meeting. So, Q, you need to read the news. What does the house cleaning represent? We always knew. Final stage. Donald Trump has said this from the beginning. He said, and we said, we named all these people and that they're going to go. We named that all the globalists are there so he can suck their brains dry, learn the evil methodologies and machinations and mechanisms that run the world, and then he offs them. Okay? Hello? What does the house cleaning represent? It represents he's winning. He says he's got 2 more. We always knew. Oh, really? You always knew? I thought you were on the inside. I thought you were talking to Trump every day. Really? You always knew? Well, then why didn't you say before now? Why didn't you say the things we have said of exactly who's going to be fired and why and what he was doing? I guess you just keep, you're the Riddler. I guess then I'm Batman if you're the Riddler, okay? Final stage. Donald Trump just said that. He's in the final stages. I mean, this isn't news. Final stage, he says he's got 2 more big changes according to what he told a personal friend, which is out in the news now, and he did not say the opposite in his tweets. So final stage, yeah, he's got a couple more changes, and I hope the changes are SES. Yeah, and I hope that they catch all the leakers because this document earlier, Q claims to be on the inside and he's a leaker, he or she. Then they go to jail, don't they? Then Donald Trump is a leaker. You see the insinuation here? They know all things. That means all things? No, they don't. Matter of fact, as far as I can tell, they don't know anything that isn't out on the news so far. And anyway, if you have a Q quote that you want to send us, we will address it. In any Q quote, anytime, I've read them all, I'll address any one of them. Some are completely silly and some are incredibly encrypted and complex and are actually pointing at the real resistance in the early days of Q, which were good. And all of those I loved. These now are silly. What does North Korea represent? Threat, safeguard, insurance, poof. Kim to China represents something vital. Many will be buried before exposed. FF, distractions. Okay, now it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I miss the absolute obvious, so FF, I don't know what that means. I don't know, these little things, key themselves. Okay, so let's go back. Final stage. What does North Korea represent? North Korea represents whether we're going to win the battle with China, and it's not going to become a physical battle. This is a cyber war, economic war, okay? We've been telling you about this for a long time. Go read the intelligence reports. Is it a threat? Well, of course it's a threat, but it's a threat so that we'll give them money. Remember the last time they did this, we gave them $4.5 billion. And then they used it to create a uranium enrichment plant, supposedly, which became a plutonium enrichment plant. Instead of waiting, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama created the mess in North Korea because they believed that North Korea was not simply a satellite of China. This is all naive. Bolton will bring the truth to bear. So I'm not going to leave any crumbs here. Go look what we've said. We just gave a whole expose of what happened when Trump went to China and the way many people were fooled. And so what they're insinuating actually did happen, and we talked all about it. It wasn't $850 billion he brought back from China. It was a trick. And it was to make sure that all their microprocessors, microchips, and semiconductors were taken out of all military and all government computers. Basically, a huge war started, and it looked like everyone was friendly. No, not at all. Are they a threat, North Korea? Well, yeah, China's a threat. Will they send bombs? No, they don't have the capacity to do so unless they buy the warhead from someone else. We could send one bomb and end their program. One bomb. We could use one accelerated particle beam and actually end their program. We could have a foreign country. Don't get me started. We could end that threat instantaneously. A safeguard? The safeguard is that Trump went to China and manipulated Chairman Xi. Wake up. Insurance? Poof. The North Korea threat is going to poof. I guess that's what they're saying, because it went poof overnight now, didn't it? And he sent another divine being from his family to the Olympics. Oh, what was that about? I guess you just don't understand the East if you don't understand that was a peace offering of the highest level, and him going to China was a peace offering to the rest of the world. I guess you don't understand the East. Okay, Kim to China represents something vital. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess you do know that. It is vital, and you say it's a key. It's more than vital. It's his life. And it's the end of North Korea as we know it. And it's the end of the sham and game that China is not North Korea. Many will be buried before exposed themselves. Yeah. These people are so corrupt. Look at all the people. I can make a list of all the people who've quit from the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, even Admiral Rogers from the NSA stepping down. Why? Because otherwise they are going down. And some are standing. Like, why has William Priesthap not left? Why doesn't Peter Strzok and Lisa Page go away? Why doesn't Bill Orr, who's been completely exposed as one of the 500 members of the group that controls the SES, the top review board? Because they will die for this. They have so much vested. Yes. So your remark, many will be buried. Wrong. Many would be buried. But will they be buried before exposed? Unless you mean buried by being hidden, which is exactly what's happening with the Mueller investigation, which is nothing more than a fix that is trying to cover the trail of the crimes of Comey and his 28 treasonous crimes, which is a really good article if you don't know about Comey to read that we put out, an intelligence report. So, and I know we're promoting ourselves, but that's just because I don't know where else to tell you to find this. If I knew other places, I'd tell you, except the open news. But people seem to ignore the open news, have very short memories, and they're like a goldfish in training on this new, these Q dumps. They're silly. Many will be buried before exposed themselves. That's a general silly statement. I can't approve that, not approve that, say that's true, not whatever. FF, distractions. Don't know what that means. Fast forward, distractions. Of course there's distractions. The whole Mueller investigation is a distraction. What happened with McCabe and the way it did. Horowitz is a distraction. On and on and on. We try to remove the distractions, remove the disinformation so that you yourself can look at the evidence and make the decision. This is no evidence that I'm looking at. Number 968. Who else was at the meeting in China? all of the tech lords who thought, the IBM tech lords, because Lenovo is IBM. The laptops they brought to America were an espionage, subterfuge thing, not only much worse than Facebook. It was Facebook built into your computer, okay? This was found out. They're not telling you. Trump went over there and said, no more. No more. You're going to pull those back, the ones you haven't sold. You're not selling any more here until you build a company in China that makes microprocessors without the mechanical engine on them, and that's what he's now found out. The surveillance is through the microprocessing chip. On top of it is the ME. It's called the ME. It's right in your agreement, everyone. You all agree to have a mechanical engine that can enter your computer and take everything. He went there, and I can go on and on. Every deal he did there was misrepresented by the press and almost all misrepresented by all the alt media. Okay, we were the only ones that pointed out who was the first person publicly that Bannon went to meet? Kissinger. Who did Trump go to meet early on? Kissinger. Who came to meet Trump later? Kissinger. What did Kissinger tell him? Give over to China. China has won. China's in control. They are the new economy. That is all lies. That is so horribly, that comes from that's why the Council on Foreign Relations was led by Henry Kissinger for all those years, and that's what got us into perpetual war and the nonsense that we have been in. Don't believe that. China is our enemy. Live from China. Who else was at the meeting in China? Live from China. There was a lot of live from China at that time, and if you look at what really happened, and then you look then at the deals that followed through, because when you're in the East, everybody says yes. Later, 50% of the deals fall through. That's what happened. But Trump meant for those to fall through because when he went there in person, face to face, he told him the way it's going to be. And the tariffs are coming, folks. And why is Korea... Let me give you the big deal. I've said this many times. Why is North Korea happening now? Because China wants North Korea to be a manufacturing center. Because Taiwan, they still don't have Taiwan legally. And so their manufacturing has been usurped by South Korea. That's why Trump went to South Korea to stick it in China's face, also North Korea's face, that, look, if you shape up, we can do business with you. And yeah, we're going to do tariffs on you, but you're going to buy our cars too, and you're going to buy our stuff, but it's going to be fair deals because the globalists had basically been gutting America all along. So live from China, yeah, look at the live from China. There was an operation. Yes, there was an operation going on. It was a window of opportunity, and the Chinese didn't even know it hit them. Look at the Chinese. They're so stupid. They tackled the person walking behind Trump that has the football. They tried to take the football from Trump's, I don't even know what you call him. He's the guy who carries the suitcase, the briefcase that has the codes in it, the nuclear codes. Trump goes nowhere without that. I thought everyone knew that. China tried to take the football, and it caused a fight, and they had to knock the people down. Yeah, that's how unprepared China was for what happened. So, it was the best window of opportunity in basically China's history. We've already talked about all that. Clean, purpose, future-proofs past. As I say, they always close out with a reference to the early Q, and it's so silly. Future-proofs past, past-proofs future. But they don't understand. That phrase proves that Cicada created the original Q. So go ahead, Q. Keep saying this to try to convince the Qites that you are the original Q. Nonsense. Future proofs past, past proofs future. Could you please explain what that means? Because we just posted from the original Q and from the person who wrote that phrase, future proofs past, past proofs, and we posted the proof from Z and Z's group, which I have called the Q Collective, which is improper to call it that. But from Z's group, Cicada, the proof is there. We just posted it on aimfortruth.org on Truth News Headlines and Patriots for Truth. There's a whole thing we're going to leave up. You want proof of who Q is? Go. We just posted it. We also talked to the person that Q, the original Q, who we call Z, who is the person who runs the Cicada Collective, confirmed that DeFango was the person who actually came up with that year's puzzle strategy. And so we had an hour-long conversation and exposed all of this. I tell all of you, anyone who isn't willing to listen to the people who are the originals, then what do they want? They're so convinced that what they're reading here is so real that they're willing to put blinders on and not see any evidence in front of their face. Let's go on. Parkland is a distraction. If you didn't know that, you don't know what a false flag is. We haven't got into that because they're going after the people. Remember? They took down all those people? So here's Q saying, what are they saying? Look into Parkland. You look too much into Parkland and you say too much about Parkland and you go down. That seems like Q's pointing us in the wrong direction. Parkland is a distraction. We all knew that. You can see the tape of Meow saying that his debate partner says, I'm here with a 25-year-old crisis actor that is my debate partner, and I'm supposed to deal with this. And that guy, Meow, looks up and says, deal with it. Plus, that's his cousin that he's in the films with, by the way. I don't go there because we know the things that will take us down, because we have seen things just like this Q thing. It's taken over. I was in the NSA. If you haven't read Vault 7, they had the ability to do all of this. So all these things that come out are so fake so many times. If you just acknowledge what WikiLeaks has revealed, or acknowledge Vault 7, or acknowledge the whistleblowers, which they try to ignore all of that. William Binney had all the information that they needed to take down Hillary. And now he's created a collective, which is marvelous, and they are going after these people. And they've already done some amazing things. Why isn't that in Q? Because he's all over the news. Parkland was specifically organized and designed to distract or test. Watch the news. Yes, it's testing you, so be careful. And watch the news. Don't watch the news. That's all fake. What do you mean, watch the news? Watch what news? Q, what channel do you watch that you think that we're going to find any truth on? Or are you saying watch the news because it's all lies about Parkland? I would have to agree with that. A test? It's not a test. It's your standard old false flag to the third power, because this was ran by the office right down the street where Meow's dad worked. I mean, come on, if you can't see through this one. So you're telling us something here? This is a Q dump? Actors are acting. Oh my Lord, that's profound. Actors are acting. Here's what I say. Anyone in Hollywood who's an actor is a con man or a con woman. They are liars. They are professional liars. That's what they do for a living. They convince you of falsehoods that they know are falsehoods. That's their job. Why would you listen to anything they say politically? Look what has happened to Hollywood now. Why isn't Q talking about that? Shall I name the people that are actually the people bringing down Hollywood? I guess maybe Q doesn't know that. Listen to our broadcast. I'll mention it soon, so that, because I haven't mentioned the exact names, but we've mentioned the mechanism. Actors are acting. Woo wee. Fake. Oh, actors who are acting are fake. No power. No, they have a tremendous amount of power. Hollywood has been on Hillary's side and Obama's side since they were bought out. Remember, they're part of an acting guild that if you don't do what that acting guild says, you're out and you don't get any more contracts, period. Nobody could be more controlled than Hollywood actors. This is silly. We're talking even about Hollywood. But these actors, they have tremendous power. Many people are convinced by these, and you aren't red-pilled until you look at it and see the evidence, and then it upsets you when you find out the truth. When we pointed out the truth of San Bernardino, people were mind-bogglingly angry with us. Hundreds of thousands of people read this, and they responded. Basically, their response is, please don't wake us up. We threw down the gauntlet a few days ago about SES, and now what we said, and it's so funny because I predicted what would happen exactly to the T. Go back to what I said, and I'm not going to address any specific individual in the alternative media. I support them all. Some of them have percents of truth. Some of them are shills. You got to figure that out. That's part of the test. So if you want to talk about actors or acting, let's talk about the shills who are alt media. I told you how to find out. I threw down the gauntlet, and because we knew that we had uncovered the biggest thing in news in the alt media in a long time, which is that the shadow government is actually an organization inside of the government called the Senior Executive Service. Now we have just huge amounts of people coming forward, and that's how we were approached by the members of by Z and the members of the collective that I call the Q Collective, which is really, most of them are part of the Cicada 3301, which DeFango told us all about in so many details yesterday that if people are still talking about this dump and they don't talk about what DeFango said yesterday, kitty's undercover. Meow. All right. See, I'm playing the Q game. If you don't know what meow means, you need to catch up to speed. No power. They have tremendous power. Justice will be served to those playing the game. Good luck. What country are you in? And what universe are you in? Really? Would you please, Mr. Q, Mrs. Q, Collective Q, Qbot, Qite, whatever you are, who is giving this recent dump, would you please tell me where justice was served? Anywhere, please. Because I'm looking for it. I watch, what's it called? My favorite guys, I said I'm not going to mention names, but I watch, the people bringing the FOIAs again and again and actually leading the charge, you see. And so justice will be served, not very frequently. And the people doing it, you need to donate to so that they continue. It's lawsuits that bring these things forward. It's FOIA requests, not the government. Guns are safe. Okay, what kind of moron would say guns are safe? You know how many gun accidents there have been cleaning a gun? I was in the military. You're insulting everyone with a brain. Guns are safe. I think what this ridiculous remark is trying to say is, that phrase, guns don't kill people, people do. Yeah, okay, because if you ain't got a gun, you're going to use a knife or a machete. Look at the huge amounts, I'm not going to quote the amounts because you won't believe the true amounts, in Rwanda of the people who were hacked to death with machetes while the UN stood there watching with guns. UN peacekeepers, we have films of them watching the massacres. Why? Because the arms shipment that was supposed to go to that country got interrupted, so they sent machetes. And if they don't have machetes, they'll use rocks. And if they don't have rocks, they'll throw anything in their environment. That's what you do. Guns are safe. That is a ridiculous statement. And if you're supposed to believe everything Q says, I'm sorry. Guns are not safe. They're made to kill things. I don't know. Do I need to say any more about it? Trust the plan? There is no plan. Please print the plan, Q. There's no plan. So don't say trust the plan and then insinuate that Donald Trump's hidden agenda strategy is the plan. You are full of it. You don't know the plan. What's the plan? Don't tell me to trust the plan. That's an insult. And then you sign it Q again. Did you think I didn't know? I can read the header. Thank you, Q, for putting that Q is Q and that, boy, that's proof for me. Trust the plan. Don't get me upset. This is absurd. There's no plan. There's never been a plan in anything you have ever written. In the beginning, there was cryptology that if you broke the code, it said things to you, just like the cicada riddles, and those are plans. Q has given us no plans, so I don't know. I'm so disappointed in this. I didn't ever want to do this because I told people I would have to rip them to pieces because it upsets me to read this nonsense. Okay, so free Flynn. Flynn is getting out of this because Peter, if you mean General Flynn, because Peter Strzok knows Judge Contreras. That's the reason he had to recuse himself. And he was the FISA judge. So Judge Contreras has completely fouled the entire investigation. It's done. It's closed anytime a lawyer wants to press. We already said this. Manafort is pressing it with a lawsuit. Gates capitulated so he wouldn't have to spend any more money. Papadopoulos is going, I don't remember his status, but Flynn capitulated for a plea bargain. Papadopoulos plea bargain. Why? To stop having to spend money. That's the whole trick of an investigation. So Flynn, just like Manafort, was going to lose his house and everything because of the attack of Mueller. So, free Flynn. Yes, if you mean, let's give Flynn some money because of the attack of Mueller, and if Flynn hadn't been taken out, his plan was to get rid of the entire corporate intelligence, the same plan we had, because that's the only way to do this. So, free Flynn, absolutely. Free Flynn. Okay, Q said something good. if I interpret that correctly. Done in 30, house cleaning, White House secured, final stage Q. Done in 30. I don't know what that means. Is he in the bathroom again and he's going to be done in 30 minutes? House cleaning. Okay, I guess he went and cleaned his house during those 30 minutes. All right. White House secured. It's the most secure place there is. And yet it is not secure at all. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. Final stage. It ain't the final stage. That is ridiculous. Trump is going to have to fight every single day of, I hope, his 2 terms. He is fighting every day. There is no final stage. That is to make you become complacent and relax. And that's why I say, yes, conclusively, at the end of this is a PSYOPs project. Notice that I pointed out that they're trying to give you thoughts. They're trying to create the narrative. They're trying to limit what you believe, what you think. They're trying to say they are the only source. They gave us nothing. Any content that they gave us was usually a riddle, and the content could be taken from our site or some other sites. I don't know. I haven't seen this stuff on other sites, but please, if there's other sites, please write us in and tell us so that we can become aware of that. Because you know what? We have been approached by just about every major site out there, and we won't interview with almost all of them. We've only noticed who we've interviewed with. Shout out to Lionel. Loved your video this morning. That's the reason I'm doing this today. I'm not in any fight. I threw down a gauntlet, drew a line, and that's what caused some people to go nuts. A couple days later, we got in contact with Q. The Q, this person that we call Z, has proven its origins, and proven that most people didn't even figure out the original Q at all. And I'm not going to mention any names, but go back to the original Q and maybe you will get some content. But that same content is in some of the cicada riddles, which so few people have figured out. So the people who created this initially are really, really smart people. The strategy came from DeFango. He gave us the whole story yesterday. The content came from one individual who did not use any current clearance, did not break any laws, did not leak anything, and did not make any fallacious claims that he was connected to Donald Trump. Q-ites, get this. Please get this. If you believe these Q things since they were taken over, you are believing a criminal who is trying to say they're a criminal directly connected to Donald Trump. They're part of taking down Donald Trump. They're trying to make you complacent. They don't say trust Sessions anymore, but for a while it was trust Sessions, trust the plan. Trust Sessions, trust the... Sessions, we have declared an enemy of the state. We can't trust Sessions. Don't get me started on Sessions, okay? I'm sorry. He put one lawyer to help Horowitz, who he's dumped every investigation on concerning all the dossier, the leaks, the corruption, the partisanship, all on one man who basically hasn't discovered any crimes, so therefore he is obviously not doing his job. So if you can't find the crimes with Uranium One, if you can't find the crimes with Andrew McCabe being the Russian connection to 10M, and oh please, so many crimes, so many crimes, so many Comey crimes, I can't name them all. So Horowitz, fake, there is no plan. Q has no plan. I challenge Q. You did not address SES. Now, if you're a Q bot, you're not a human, so you didn't take it personally. I challenged the whole SES organization personally. They imploded. They're trying to get out. They're trying to get out with retirements right now. Many of them. We were called by everyone. Please stop. Please stop. We heard that the very person who created the SES is begging the alternative media to stop. Stop. Please stop. These are good people. You're taking them down. You're taking down their lives. No, they're not. Read what we have given about SES. And then if you, like Q, want to avoid SES, I'm going to have to question your motivations. But I don't need to debate anybody. I threw down the gauntlet. I gave you an open period. Everyone in the world, anyone I would debate about SES, contact Aim for Truth. Contact Betsy. Guess how many people wanted an interview? One person who called me up and literally went crazy, insane, nuts on me. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and I know all about that person. I know who that person is and all this. And then other people said this and that and this and that. And I did talk to one person last night, and that person says they completely agree with everything we're saying about SES. So I have no beef with that person. I don't need to have a debate with him or anybody. Nobody wants to have a debate about this. The people talking about it and putting it down, they don't want to have a debate. They don't want me to stack up the evidence and say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Because they don't have any evidence. Notice that the people who are bashing what we say about SES aren't giving you any evidence. And those lovely people who have brought the evidence forth, actually, some of it has really informed us. We didn't know that the FEI existed. We didn't know some of the people who were in it. Oh, it's beautiful every day. Every day, we're going to create a pack of cards like they did in Iraq. 52 SES criminals that are on the list to be exposed. And it's not a game, folks. Q tells you this is a game. It's not a game. This is life and death. This is the life and death of America, of the U.S. Constitution and the U.S. Bill of Rights. Yes, Q was right when they said constitutional crisis. This is worse than a constitutional crisis. The Constitution has already been usurped by Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and other presidents who go rogue because they bring the CIA international influence into the White House. They realize they can manipulate all this flow of money, and then they become what? Criminal cartels afterwards, okay? So that's what we're dealing with, and that's what we're exposing, and too bad Q isn't exposing any of that. So I'm going to continue, Q. Every time you give a drop, I'm going to give my analysis because that's what the conclave and people have been begging for a long time. And I'm sorry if people think this is cruel or I'm mean or, again, I've attacked somebody, which, no, people are attacking me with the craziest accusations I've ever heard in my life. But that's okay. I'm used to that. I knew that would happen because that's their reaction. That just shows who they are. I don't need to tell you what it means. Just look at their reaction. Look at the reaction of the people for Q. Especially when we brought all the evidence. And now you're going to be embarrassed, anybody who believes that we're wrong, because we are now dumping so much information from that group that anyone that thinks that the present Q was the original Q is simply not looking at the evidence. So that's what we say, and that's what we've done in terms of the interpretation here. We're going to continue this. Q, again, a challenge. Please address a few things. Please address the senior executive services. You didn't. Please address the nature of Q originally and the fact that you don't have anything, nothing, no code. Would you please put a cryptological code in your next dump? Please, because I like the first ones. Could you please show that you have a Q clearance by showing me any COC chatter, as you did in the first dumps? Please, I'm challenging you. Show me 3 or 4 lines of COC chatter to prove that you have a Q clearance and that you are looking at the things that you're looking at, which you are not. And you won't be able to do this, by the way. And it's going to be very embarrassing for the people who are then going to go on, because the people who listen to this and then the people who listen to the milquetoast interpretations or the crazy speculations on amazingly made-up fantasies, I think they'll see the difference, okay? So, Q, please, if you're so friggin' smart, let me ask you an inside question that I would know because I'm following Trump's strategy. If you're following Trump's strategy, okay, then answer a question instead of riddle me a riddle, Mr. Riddler. Answer me a question. I'm thinking this right now, a question that I know. Yes. What is he doing with Mr. Rasmussen? What is Donald J. Trump doing with Mr. Rasmussen? I'm not going to give you his first name because if you don't know who he is, you aren't Q. What is Donald Trump doing with Mr. Rasmussen? I'll give you a second one. What has Donald Trump done with Dan Coates in the last few days? What has Donald Trump done? This is all public knowledge. You wouldn't even have to be on the inside. All you'd have to be is a 5th grader watching the news. What has Donald Trump done in the last few days with Dan Coates? Okay? And then Anything else I've addressed here that I've expanded on what you've said, please, Mr. Q, Mrs. Q, Qbot, Qites, Qtards, whatever your name is. And by the way, I don't hide my name, Douglas Gabriel. I'm an author of many, many books. When we created this, Betsy Ross and I came up with fake names. We told you they were fake names. So for people thinking they were revealing me by saying my name is the silliest thing ever, that's ridiculous. Anyway, so Q poster, Mr. Q, Mrs. Q, Q collective, whoever you are, current Q, Q squared, Q to the nth power, whatever you are, who just did this dump. Would you please give us a dump to answer some real questions instead of just riddling? Anyone can riddle. And the beauty of it is, when you know the answer to the riddle like the ones I just gave you, you do have a lot of power. But you disempower everyone that you tell the riddle to. Okay, Mr. Riddler, here's a riddle. I'm going to give you a riddle. This is one of the most difficult riddles that you can use in the English language, and it's been proven many times to be the ultimate riddle to trick your opponent. So, Mr. Riddler, if you are the original Q poster, please solve this riddle. I'll say it twice. A man with no eyes saw apples on a tree. He took no apples off the tree. He left no apples on the tree. What did he do? I'll repeat it. A man with no eyes saw apples on a tree. He took no apples off the tree. He left no apples on the tree. What did he do? When you get the answer, you will know it is absolutely correct. Same thing with all these cicada riddles. When you get the answer, you know it. And by the way, I put the correction yesterday. I'm going to put the correction again too. We were invited into this group because of what we do with Aim for Truth. As soon as I got on the direct communication with Z, the Riddler, I said, don't talk to me until I tell you what I think the riddle is. So I told him what I thought it meant, and he says, you got it right. I didn't solve that riddle. That riddle has billions of riddles inside of it, as DeFango pointed out yesterday. I didn't do any of the cryptology on that. I simply read the words and knew what the words meant. So that's what that was about. So I would apologize because Z was just being nice to me, saying I solved the riddle. Now I understand so much more. If you're a genius, you've already been drawn into these puzzles, okay? Because they're all over, and they've been all over since 2010. And if you've passed it, you're part of the group, and you know what I'm talking about. And now I get to participate with those people, not because I'm smart like them, which I thought I was for a minute. That proves how dumb I am. It's because I could understand what the words were, because I'm good with words. So I gave you the riddle, Q. You're not going to solve it because you're not Q. You're not the original Q. I bet if I will give this riddle to Z, and then I will report soon on whether Z can solve the riddle. Thank you for listening. This is just our opinion. We don't mean to harm anybody. We don't mean to upset anybody. We don't mean to in any way do anything but bring truth forth. But when you bring truth forth, waking up to truth and self-knowledge hurts. Nobody likes to be awakened from a beautiful dream into the cold reality of life. I'm sorry. This is the cold reality of life.